Hello and welcome back. Glad you've tuned in. And if you're here for the first time, thank you. Thank you for choosing to welcome me into your homes or wherever you're listening to this from. So I'm here with a couple of stories for you. So let's get into this. So we have a story here where apparently the former Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern will be keeping Prince Harry and Meghan's messages private. So apparently the former Prime Minister refused an Official Information Request Act request to release those messages. And the Herald apparently has appealed that decision to the Ombudsman. And also the chair of New Zealand's Republican movement, Lewis Holden, said the messages need to be released, noting there is a high public interest in knowing whether Harry and Meghan were using the influence and access afforded by Harry's birth appropriately. So for those who need to know, the New Zealand Republic Movement is an organization formed in 1994 whose object is to support the creation of a New Zealand republic. So that is the political position that New Zealand's system of government should be changed from a constitutional monarchy to a republic. So apparently New Zealand's republicanism dates back to the 19th century, but was only a fringe movement until the late 20th century. So that is Lewis Holden's angle. So they say in this article that Harry and Meghan were reported to have considered moving to New Zealand after stepping back as senior working members of the royal family. We all heard Prince Harry mentioning that in their docuseries, and he also reiterated that in Spare, his memoir. So he said this in his book, quote, "What if we could spend at least part of the year somewhere far away beyond the reach of the press? The question was where. We talked about New Zealand," end quote. So as we all know, in the end, they opted, after being in Canada for a while, that they relocated to where they are right now in Montecito. So they say that there's nearly 3 years of correspondence from 2018 to 2022 that has been requested by the Herald. Messages between the office of the Prime Minister at the time and the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So there have been some of those messages from 2018 to 2022 that have been released. However, the government has acknowledged that there are, quote, additional communications between then Prime Minister Ardern and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, in quotes, themselves, which it has decided to keep from the public gaze. The government said it was withholding the release of these messages to, quote, maintain the effective conduct of public affairs through the free and frank expression of opinions, end quote, a ground for withholding information under the Official Information Act. So New Zealand Herald here complains that that section has a history of being unevenly applied. Messages between public figures, like for example microbiologist Wiles and Ashley Bloomfield, or even between journalists and ministers' offices, have been captured and released by the Official Information Act. So they ask why Harry and Meghan's messages merit full protection. So we'll get into that later. So they go on to say that Ardern was approached for comment through the office of the current Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, and the Herald inquired about the content of the correspondence, whether it was in text, WhatsApp, email, or another format. Ardern declined to comment ahead of the Ombudsman's decision. Holden said it was not appropriate for the messages to be withheld. He said this, quote, "There is general protection for communications with the sovereign being kept secret. It's hard to see how that restriction, which itself is unjustified, could apply to these communications. We have no idea if the Duke and Duchess have lobbied our Prime Minister for access, immigration status, or anything else. They shouldn't have special protection just because they are members of the royal family," end quote. So as I said before, he has his own view that New Zealand should become a republic and, should move away from the constitutional monarchy. So he, so you can tell he's pretty focused on that. So they say there was high public interest in the messages being released, noting that there was a history of the monarchy sometimes interfering inappropriately with domestic affairs. He says this, quote, "Even though the royals are largely a symbol and their day-to-day lives are an irrelevance, there are often specific instances where their communications are of huge public interest. An example is in the letters between Buckingham Palace and the Australian Governor-General Sir John Kerr prior to Kerr's sacking the government of Gough Whitlam in 1975, end quote. So he goes on and on. He talks about how the monarchy is highly secretive and, they do their best to escape scrutiny. And, he keeps going on about the fact that the job comes with responsibilities. And also Act's leader David Seymour said the messages show why the Official Information Act needed reform. So he goes on to talk about the responsibilities of the then Prime Minister of New Zealand and wondering why Harry and Meghan would have been texting her, and if they would have been texting her if her position was not Prime Minister. That he wants the information released because if it was official business, then it would have been released. And he says that if she was using her position to, quote, chit-chat with the royals, the public have a right to know that too. So the article goes on to say that the royal family have been the subject of battles over information before. In the United Kingdom, journalists have battled for 5 years to have then Prince Charles's letters to ministers, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair, released. So they go on saying that when Charles's distinctive scrawl was released, it showed him taking intense interest in political matters and lobbying for certain passion projects. So my take on this is, first and foremost, Prince Harry and Meghan have stepped back from being senior working members of the royal family. And as I've said before, the first individual to press on the communications between the then Prime Minister and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex is Lewis Holden, who is the chair of New Zealand's Republican movement. So he has his, as I said before, he has his perspective on not wanting the royal family to continue to head New Zealand. They want to move on from the monarchy. They don't want that hereditary monarch as their sovereign and head of state there. They have that perspective. But my question is, we know that Jacinda Ardern has had multiple communications with, members of the royal family, not just Prince Harry and Meghan, and they, as I've said before, have stepped back from being senior working members of the royal family. We all know that when Jacinda stepped back from being Prime Minister, or she resigned from being Prime Minister, that she took on a role with Prince William's Earthshot Prize. So that did not come out of the blue, though we do not know the time frame in which those talks took place for her to accept that role or when it was offered to her. It is quite interesting that they right now are focusing on Prince Harry and Meghan's communications with her. And now we know that she right now is looking forward to being a part of the, Earthshot Prize that will have, their own event this year in 2023. And she is a trustee of that organization. So we all know that Harry and Meghan generate a huge amount of interest online, and there is a vested interest right now in a lot of outlets to have whatever communications were taking place between the Sussexes and Jacinda at that time. And of course, it will make them a pretty buck to keep on releasing, whatever information they feel might be of public interest, might have, the ability to generate for them clicks. But my question is, why the extreme focus on Harry and Meghan between them and the then Prime Minister, and saying that they might have used the influence and access afforded by Prince Harry's birth, wondering if they had used it inappropriately or used it in any kind of way. Why would they place so much focus on Harry and Meghan, while we can of course deduce that she has had multiple opportunities to communicate with other members of the royal family who are even currently, still working members? I mean, if you do a bit of research, we know that she got to know Prince William during her time in leadership in New Zealand, and even spoke on his behalf at the inaugural Earthshot Prize Innovation Summit in New York City in September. And even as she was giving her remarks, she spoke about reflecting on Queen Elizabeth, and she said that the Queen was focused, committed, and demonstrated so much more. So of course you can tell she must have had communications with the Queen, but you can tell here that there is that inordinate focus on Harry and Meghan, and to the point that the Herald has appealed the decision of the Ombudsman to keep back some of the messages between Jacinda and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So for me, that just once again goes to show that Harry and Meghan have this huge appeal that even those who print negative stories about them cannot deny. Because sometimes we've seen them going after stories on the Sussexes like a dog with a bone. So that's the first story out of the way. Let me know your thoughts on that. Share your perspective on that. I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section. So there was a story as well, once again talking about Prince Harry and Meghan, and talking about the fact that more surveys are being conducted on this couple to see their favorability, which once again makes a lot of us ask, why do they keep polling Prince Harry and Meghan, who have stepped back from being senior working members? They are private citizens. Yes, we know that Prince Harry is a prince and Duchess Meghan, she is a duchess among all their other titles, but they're not in that sphere of senior working members. But yet again, another poll on them. Once again by Newsweek. For those of you who know, I did a bit of a deep dive on this particular outlet with the Sussexes, so you can check for links here. I found out something quite interesting about this legacy outlet that for now seems to have some weird slant against the Sussexes. So check that out. Link will be right here. So they surveyed yet again some of the populace. They asked 1,500 US registered voters if they viewed various members of the British royal family favorably or unfavorably. Of those surveyed, 39% they said viewed Prince Harry favorably, compared with 32% in February, and 33% respondents said that they viewed Meghan favorably on April the 4th, compared to 27% in February. So they said that the approval ratings have in fact gone up. So they go on to cite the Netflix docuseries that was published in December of last year, saying that their approval ratings were significantly lower than what they were before that documentary came out. So once again, I ask the question, why do they keep polling them with the other senior working members? As Prince Harry said, they are on their different path. So, they keep on polling them there with King Charles and William and Kate and Camilla and on and on. And they say that this comes after the news came out that Prince Harry has accepted his invitation to his father's coronation, while, as we know, Meghan will stay back in Montecito with their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. And of course, we're all looking forward to that. Little Archie will turn 4 on the day of the coronation. So at least there will be that celebration there. I'm sure it will be a busy day of planning for the Sussex bunch. So let me know your thoughts about the results of that poll. And, we will take that poll with a pinch of salt. For all we know, polls differ with age groups. They differ with locations on the demographics of the groups that people poll. So as I said, we will take that with a pinch of salt. And as we all know, we've seen it time and time again for those people who dare to say that the Harry and Meghan are irrelevant and they want them to lay low. Because a part of this poll that I did not talk about, let me add it here. They said that their favorability numbers had gone up because, get this, the favorable sentiments were due to the fact that there had been a lack of Sussex media appearances since the release of Spare, and they say this in anticipation for the King's May the 6th coronation. Yeah, sure, Jan. So once again, how do people say that they view them more favorably when they don't see them? Of course, the thought process of that is incongruent, because if they cite the fact that they have gone up in popularity because they have laid low, then that would in fact not line up with the fact that any time that Harry and Meghan have any update, especially as we learned now that Harry will be attending the coronation alone, people would not have seen the jump in the engagement on the platforms that released that information. I think BBC had a phenomenal click-through rate when they posted that story. So they can be irrelevant and highly relevant at the same time. So for me, as I said, I take those news, especially those Newsweek polls, with a huge pinch of salt. People love to know more information about the Sussexes, even those who claim to be in the hater camp. I call those just, secret fans. They follow them sometimes way more than even people who support them do. And as we've seen by all of the dialogue and the debates that have gone forth concerning Harry and Meghan particularly choosing to stay back from the coronation, the print rate alone on those stories has been through the roof. So share your thoughts on those polls and quotes in the comment section. Now on to another story which will segue really well into the emphasis of this video. Despite the fact that Duchess Meghan will not be attending the coronation, she has been featured in the official coronation souvenir program. So, a family portrait taken to mark the King's 70th birthday in 2018 is prominently displayed over a full page in the glossy 84-page magazine, which went on sale on Monday. It's taken at that point. You can see them there with smiles on their faces. We can see there the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, as well as King Charles, Camilla, and Prince William and his wife, and some of the children in that portrait. And, though we have heard it confirmed that Harry will attend the coronation, he will be flying solo, and his wife, Meghan, and the children will be staying in Montecito. So this official souvenir program, which costs £10, also features an introduction by the Archbishop of Canterbury, who will be conducting the ceremony. And in it, Archbishop highlighted the moment of, quote, stillness and simplicity amid the, quote, magnificence and pomp when the king will be anointed with oil. And that is the only part of the ceremony which the public will not see. So as you can see, it's focused on the coronation. So let me know your thoughts on this. Meghan being featured in that photograph as part of the ramp up to the whole coronation. She is featured in the official coronation souvenir program, yet she is not going to be taking part. Now, of course, this family has a lot of portraits that they can choose from, taking into consideration all of the politicking, all of the PR. Let me know your thoughts on why they chose to feature this particular image, even though we know for a fact that Meghan is not going, and we know how the press have, treated her in the past, and also all of the conversation that has been going around concerning her not going. And prior to that, when people thought she might go, a lot of people talking about how, she would not be welcome there and that she would, be booed. We heard a couple of those royal experts predicting so. So, a lot of palace politics, if I can call it that, must be going on to include this image, because they obviously want to show this image of a united family. Yet, all the while we've been hearing how Harry and Meghan would not even be welcome on the balcony if they were to go. And even now, talking about how Harry, even if he has chosen to go, there has been a lot of conversation on how he, will not feature prominently, and how, members would not talk to him. He would be isolated. We've heard that type of commentary going on. So let me know your thoughts on this particular image being chosen in the comment section. So a lovely segue into my final story that once again will touch on the coronation topic and Harry and Meghan. So I want to cap off with this story here, where we're going to focus back on the news of Prince Harry going and Meghan staying back and the responses online. I've seen quite a spectrum of people's response to the news on Prince Harry deciding to attend the coronation and Meghan choosing to remain in the United States with their children. And of course, with that palace spokesperson saying that Buckingham Palace is pleased to confirm that the Duke of Sussex will attend the coronation service, and all of these royal sources coming out saying that people were breathing a sigh of relief that Meghan would stay back, and people also questioning what Prince Harry's role would be in the coronation. I just wanted to take some time here and, talk about them going, the pros, the cons, and perhaps why Harry leaned towards going alone, and perhaps why Meghan stayed back. And if you call back to Prince Harry's answer where he said the ball was in his family's court when he was asked if he would attend the crowning, and now we know that he is going back. But is it because he has had, in his view, a satisfactory dialogue with his family. Who knows? But we can speculate. He felt in the end it was the right choice for him to go to his father's coronation, placing a lot of emphasis on his father, of course, because as we know, and I know that this has been a very strong talking point, especially among those who support Harry and Meghan. They have been so ready for Harry just to cut off his family. But if we look at this as a chess game, one can't compare King Charles with like Uncle Gary or Jim down the road. Generic insert name here down the road. There has to be an element to him considering how the optics appear, and we know that they've laid forth their case in the Harry and Meghan documentary, in his book as well, talking about the briefing, talking about what made them step back. And I think for those who are objective in the way they view the Sussexes and the whole royal family, you can step back and see it has been a pattern of them briefing that is not breaking news. That is something that has just been going on. We saw it when Princess Diana and the then Prince Charles were going through their very acrimonious separation to divorce, and how, we had camps briefing and putting out their perspectives in the press, and we've seen it going on. And Harry spoke up about the fact that there was an amount of briefing from segments in the palaces there against him and Meghan. He cited the fact that they were trading off stories against this couple. And once in a while, we've heard even commentators, royal commentators and experts chiming in and basically putting a rubber stamp on the fact that, the royal family and members and people who work for that institution have been briefing against the couple. Thank you, Dan Wooten, for that. And other people who've had moments where they just were candid. So people have wondered why Harry just doesn't step back and completely cut off his family for how they have treated Meghan and allowed things to just go on in the press unchallenged. We all know about the horrible articles that have been printed, even by people who have close association with other senior working members of the royal family. And yet, we've seen the silence. We saw it from the comments by Jeremy Clarkson, which went unchallenged, when in fact, if that was said about any other woman or senior working member of the royal family, whether it's Camilla or Kate, we would have heard public condemnation from the palaces and on and on. So there is a case there if you want to be objective. So why doesn't Harry just cut them off, right? Why doesn't he just say, I'm not going to your shindig? Of course, I'm just, tongue-in-cheek. I know it's a coronation, it's a state event. Optics, my people, we have to play chess, not checkers. Prince Harry knows that his father cannot be just dismissed out of hand. The Windsors are among one of the most powerful families in the whole of Europe. And I would argue in the world, in their standing, in the connections, in what they can pull in terms of resources and on many facets and layers. And if Prince Harry, in his time as a senior working member, as he has advanced from serving on the front lines to becoming a statesman on behalf of the royal family, he knows that this is a huge game of chess. He just cannot make decisions on the fly. He has to sit down and think about, how does this look on the international stage? And how could that impact his connections in the future going forward? Him being a prince and him also needing to keep up the level of rapport that he has been used to. Prince Harry has been someone who has sat in rooms with presidents, with prime ministers, with rulers of countries. And all of this is on stages on so many levels where even his dad, in those same spheres of influence, also holds his position. So the general movement of disapproval against Prince Harry going, people have to think about this. There is just so much to take into consideration. Of course, there is the level as well, where this is Harry's dad. Hence, I said the emphasis on his dad. It is a once-in-a-lifetime historic coronation for his dad. He has been waiting for decades for this thing. And Prince Harry has said that he does want his dad back. He does want his brother back. And I think as Prince William goes on, as he also prepares or looks forward to being a king, these animosities, they will just have to die away because he knows he cannot handle the entire responsibility alone. And his kids will still be so young. He will still want his children, Prince George and Charlotte and Louis, to have a sense of freedom, not just to be thrown into the fray so young. They all need that time, even as royals coming up, to step out into the world and understand the world. So there are so many facets of this where everyone is looking in the long term on how they will in the end need each other. So for Meghan not going, yes, it is quite sad because her and Harry are a team. She said that they were salt and pepper. They just go together. They are a team. And for them to make that very powerful decision for Harry to go and for Meghan to stay back, it's not one taken lightly. We know that Meghan has had a very hard time in the time when they had the walkabout, with all of the press that was going against her, talking about how she had insulted the Queen. She braved so much to go on that walkabout when Queen Elizabeth passed away. And people saw how she struggled. Talk about struggle. She just, she was willing to walk the gauntlet, not knowing what might happen to her. And she's seen it all. She's seen Prince Harry have his security revoked. So there is a lot of facets to this that she has to consider. They cannot just say, we're not going. And it's quite interesting to see all the sides playing out their discussion on this. People saying it was the right decision not to go because, they would have brought the, quote, circus. And of course, we have to consider that there were people in the beginning saying that Meghan would want to go because she's an attention seeker, that she needs that proximity to the royal family to stay relevant. And what do they say now? It's all crickets. And the whole conversation has changed, saying that now Meghan not choosing to go could have, quote, serious repercussions, talking about this when it comes to the Sussex titles. My gosh, talk about pick a lane. They were saying that they're happy that she won't go, and that they did not want her there bringing the circus, and that she would want prominent position. Some people joking about Archie on the balcony. To them now, some of them that's frothing at the mouth that she is choosing not to go for her own reasons. Who knows what was taking place behind the scenes. And even now choosing to leverage the Sussex titles against them. None of this makes sense. They have to pick a lane, talking about how she disrespected King Charles, that he walked her down the aisle, and that she should be there for him. So the same people just a couple of weeks ago would have been in the camp saying that she would have been there causing a distraction, demanding special treatment, demanding to be on the balcony and not wanting her to go. And now they're talking about how she's turned her back, in quotes, on the monarchy. So they're saying, how can Charles let her and Harry hold on to the biggest gifts from the monarchy? Of course, we know that the whole peerage system is, it's quite significant to have there in the UK. So what is it that people want this couple to do? They want them to be there, but not to be there, especially Meghan. So I'm like, pick a side. Don't you all feel that? Just like pick a side. So as I've said, it's all a game of chess at the end of the day. King Charles knew he needed Harry there for his coronation. For Harry not to show up would have been such a huge talking point, not only on the day, but in history, especially with all these Republican movements moving forward in so many of these Commonwealth countries that have had the monarch as their head of state, who want him out. And them seeing that, for your own children to not take you seriously, then why should we? Prince Harry being there does lend legitimacy to King Charles being on the throne, on the importance of the day and on the importance of his position as well. People have been complaining about the coronation costs, and they do need that sense of relevance there in the UK. They need it with the press. I think the Queen had that saying about being seen, it's quite important. So there has been a lot of quid pro quo here in all of the choices to go or not to go. And I think that we should go easy on Prince Harry for going. There is a whole facet of this where he has to play this like a statesman. He has to play this like someone who has to continue to work in those same rooms where his dad and his brother will also have sphere of influence there. We know that Prince Harry has his Invictus Games in Germany. We know how they received him, rolled out the red carpet for him. He is a prince after all. He is someone who was served, he has a track record, and those same people who welcome Prince Harry will at some point have to roll out or will have rolled out the same carpets for his dad, King Charles, for William, for, that family there. So kindly let's go easy on Harry and on the Duchess of Sussex. She is, having to not only draw the line in the sand regarding how she is treated, but how that could make her perceived moving forward in those same rooms, in history books as well. So let's cut this couple some slack. Let's pray for God to guide them in all they do. And you know what? The coronation, I like a lot of you, by the way, I've got to add this in here, just something to lighten the mood. A lot of you pointed out that the coronation as Prince Harry will just be in and out. I don't think he's there negotiating to be on the balcony to have prominence. He's going to be in and out. And I know he's going to want to be back with Archie to celebrate his 4th birthday. And a lot of you pointed out the math. He could possibly get on a flight and be back in time. So let's just pray for this couple. I think we should pray for them. God to give them wisdom. They need a lot of it in this moment. And God to protect them, even from those people who cannot seem to pick a team, wanting them to support the family and not wanting to know if the family are supporting them. It has to be give and take. Any relationship that is one way is not worth having. It's draining. So let's pray for this couple. A lot of facets are here to them going or not going. So kindly share your thoughts in the comment section on this most important part of this upload below. So thank you all for watching. Thank you to my Patreon, PayPal, and membership supporters. I would like to give a heartfelt thank you. Your support has truly been meaningful to me throughout the years. Thank you so very much. Now I want to give a shout out to a couple of you by name. Thank you for your continued support for my work here on YouTube. A special thank you to you, Bonnie, who goes by the handle B10Pow. Thank you so much for your love and support. I appreciate you for all the ways you engage on this channel, for chatting, for your comments, for your love, for your tremendous boost that you give my work here. Thank you so much. I love you, Bonnie. Thank you to Kathy Aye as well, another longtime supporter. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your giving, your generosity. You are so kind. God bless you. And a special thank you right now to you, Maggie Jackson. I appreciate you for your long time unwavering support for my work. I could never take that for granted. I pray for God's blessings to abound upon you. Thank you so much. And thank you to Patricia Lane. Patricia, I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to say thank you for your giving. Thank you for being so open-hearted. I love you so very much. Thank you. And now a special thank you to those who gave through PayPal. A very special thank you to Godfrey YV. Thank you so much for your support. God bless you. Thank you for choosing to give to my work on this channel. And a special thank you to Abina Dapa. Thank you so much. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Thank you so much for your generous giving towards my channel. Know that I appreciate you and I pray for God's blessings upon you. Thank you so very much. And once again, thank you to all who give to this channel. You are so generous. Thank you for the tremendous support that you give my work here on YouTube. My absolute love to you. Now, once again, leave all your thoughts on these stories below. Know that I love you so much. And if you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button. Let YouTube know you enjoyed what you watched. I love you all so very much. Know that I do. And have a great and blessed day wherever you are. And I will catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.